Yes, now ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the second time today. I did NXT reactions earlier on, so now it's time to get the NXT Stand and Deliver predictions out the way. So, oh god, I speed there. Let's first start with the, not the only non-title match, but one of the non-title matches. We have a fatal four-way match between a bunch of people who failed to get into the Women's North American Championship ladder match, and they have tag team partners. We have Fatal Influence, Jacy Jayne, and the other woman. I don't think it is that other woman. Jacy Jayne and one of them. And then we have Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, Chikara Jackson and Lash Legend, and Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Now, it's a bit obvious Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade are going to win this match because it's a good enough team to win it, stand, deliver. It's a good enough team to go ahead and face the Women's Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Plus, this whole match is basically being based around Roxanne Perez. I'd be surprised if Chikara and Lash Legend won because they've already had a shot at those titles. I'd be surprised if Gigi and Tatum win or Fatal Influence because I don't think either team are big enough to make enough hype around that match. I think Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade are big enough because this means when they face the main roster superstars, it's ready to pull Roxanne Perez up to the main roster because we know after WrestleMania that draft won't be too far away. So my prediction is Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade. Now, the other non-title match is the D'Angelo family versus Dark State, 6-man tag. This is where I think something happens between Stacks and the family. Either the family turn on Stacks or Stacks turns on the family. But that's going to lead to a longer feud, and I think Dark State pick up the win and stake their claim and make their name in NXT. Did you like that? You did. Yes, you did. And now let's move on to title matches. We have the 6-woman ladder match for the vacant NXT North American Women's Championship. We have Zarya, Sol Ruca, Lola Vice, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, and Thea Hale. I have a strong feeling they're going to put it on Thea Hale because she's just returned. But I also have a strong feeling it's going to be either Zarya or Sol Ruca. Or maybe Kalani Jordan. Kalani Jordan, I believe, was the first ever NXT Women's North American Championship. Would they do that moment again? I'm not so sure. I am hoping for Sol Ruca because I think her finisher is very good. So because it's so unpredictable, I'm going to go with who I want to win. I'm predicting Sol Ruca. Because they could go any direction with this match. I just don't see Lola Vice or Izzy Dame winning. Maybe Izzy Dame, definitely not Lola Vice. She is the least possible one. But I'm going to go with Sol Ruca because that is who I want to win the match. Then we have Ricky Sainz defending the NXT North American Championship against All Ego Ethan Page. Like I said in my reaction video and in the reactions to NXT building up to this match did not need the title. Shawn Spears did not need the title taken away from him so easily because now Shawn Spears is not on Stand Deliver and he's still not champion. And although we're getting this feud for the belt, this already had a feud. Both came from AEW. Both were new faces in NXT that made a big impact, won titles early. I suppose that adds to the story that Ricky Sainz won a title early, but again, this didn't need the title. Regardless, we're getting the match. I don't think Ricky Sainz is losing this title this quick, ironically, given that Shawn Spears' reign wasn't that quick, wasn't that long either. So I think Ricky Sainz is going to win, and he's going to be necessarily the new guy over Ethan Page. Ethan Page can't really complain, he won the NXT title, so I think this win is going to Ricky Sainz. He's still on his come up. I don't think Ethan Page steals that title right away. But I do think it leads to a longer feud where maybe at the end of the feud, Ethan Page takes the title and Ricky Sainz maybe might go into the NXT title divisions. But as for Stand and Deliver, I think Ricky Sainz gets the win. Then we had Hank and Tank, who won a goal match from number 1, beating all the teams that previously beat them in previous weeks, making a fine story, but a repeated match that we had literally on Friday, which ruined it a bit. But regardless, they get the chance to face Fraxium, who haven't had many challenges as of recent because they've beaten everyone on the division. They've been champions for so long, and it got to a point where they literally had a match against TNA Tag Team Champions, WWE legends, the Hardy Boys. Didn't come successful, but it is what it is. But what we've been seeing in the coming weeks leading up to Stand Deliver, this actually makes the story very perfect. Hank and Tank have been learning how to get better as a tag team through losing, then they finally got their big win, and they're determined now to win those NXT Tag Team Championships. Meanwhile, Fraxium and Axiom, Fraser Nathan Fraser and Axiom Fraxium have been sitting on their throne of champions. They're not heels, they're not cocky people, but Nathan Fraser has been getting cocky and getting a bit carried away with himself with other tag teams, and Axiom likes to keep the respect. So they've been getting in a bit of an argument, a bit of a scuffle with each other, and they're sort of disagreed. And now you can see the tag team starting to fade. Hank and Tank are getting better, Fraxium are getting worse. Now, although Fraxium are way better in ring than Hank and Tank, I feel like this could cost them. Either they'll fail this match because they can't work in unison and they'll lose the belt. This will cause them to fall out and one of them will turn heel, or I think one of them turns heel at Stand and Deliver. But I don't know if they're going to have two heel turns at Stand and Deliver for the family and Fraxium. So I think the family are going to turn heel and Fraxium are just going to fail as a tag team and then they're going to implode. So I think Hank and Tank are going to become your new NXT Tag Team Championships. I know, outrageous. It is quite actually outrageous. Now, the NXT Women's Championship is being defended in a massive fatal four-way. Stephanie Vaquer, the current champion, Julia, the former champion, who wasn't champion for that long, Jordynne Grace, the TNA star, come to NXT, and Jada Parker, the young up-and-comer. Fatal four-way for the title. Who do I think is going to win? Stephanie Vaquer. Why? Jada Parker, I don't know if she's ready to have the title yet, especially in such a stacked division where we have names like Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, and Jordynne Grace. Julia, she's just lost the title. What would be the point in giving the title back to her? You know, what would be the point in giving the belt to Stephanie Vaquer, lose it back to Julia? Doesn't make sense. Now, there is an argument for Jordynne Grace, and I would probably think maybe Jordynne Grace, but the fact that Stephanie Vaquer has just held the title, they've just put Stephanie Vaquer through winning the NXT North American Championship, then winning the NXT Championship alongside the NXT North American Championship, having two belts, defending both belts, then dropping one to focus on one just to lose that one. You know, they wouldn't drop the NXT North American Championship away from her if she was going to then lose her NXT Championship. So I think Stephanie Vaquer retains. Jada Parker moves on, maybe. Goes after the NXT North American Championship because she's already had a shot against Stephanie Vaquer. Julia's going to have to try and move on, but I think this continues with Jordynne Grace and Stephanie Vaquer to get that one-on-one match that we think of. So Stephanie Vaquer is who I'm going for this match. And finally, the triple threat match for the NXT Championship, the current NXT champion Oba Femi, the former NXT champion Trick Williams, and the young up-and-comer who wishes to be NXT champion Javon Evans. Now, obviously, this feud seems to be between Trick and Oba, where Trick wants the title, Oba wants to be the champion, and Javon is trying to get his way in the door. Both are being very disrespectful to him. Who do I think is going to win this one? I think Oba Femi's going to retain. Here is why. I don't think it would make sense to put Trick Williams as champion because I think this is Trick Williams' last match. You know, it should have been with Eddie Thorpe, but I think they wanted it at Stand and Deliver to give him a proper goodbye. But I think Trick Williams is going up to the main roster like Roxanne Perez in that main draft when the draft comes. I don't think Javon Evans is going to win it this time, but I do think Javon Evans is going to continue the feud with Oba Femi and continue chasing the NXT Championship after this. I think Oba Femi will win by pinning Trick Williams. Trick Williams will move on to the main roster, and Javon Evans is going to continue challenging Oba Femi for the NXT Championship. So just a quick recap of who I think is going to win. The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, I think obviously is Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. The 6-man tag match between the family and Dark State, I think will be Dark State. The NXT North American Women's Championship 6-woman ladder match, I think will be Sol Ruka. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, NXT North American Championship, I think Ricky Saints retains. Fraxium versus Hank and Tank, I think Hank and Tank take the belt. I think Stephanie Vaquer retains the NXT Women's Championship. And finally, I think Oba Femi retains the NXT Championship. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.